5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What's going on, everybody? Yep, it's me. It's Cody Curtis, and this isn't Battle of the Schmoes. This isn't another collaboration. This isn't even the Sweet Film Awards. We told you guys that we were going to be starting a new podcast, and here we are. This is the first episode of the Sweet Film Podcast, and I'm not here alone. I'm here with my great friend, my co-host, Zach. Introduce yourself.
Hey guys, yeah, of course, you guys know who I am. This is the Sweet Film Podcast. Yes, this is something me and Cody have been so excited to do. And this is our first episode. This is going to be a ton of fun. I mean, this podcast is really more of a chill back, have fun, talk some film, talk some entertainment, and just geek culture in general, and maybe teach you guys something.
Yeah, I mean, guys, we know we have the Battle of the Schmoes, and obviously a lot of the stuff that is put up on YouTube, it is very formulated, and it's very kind of character based because you want to reach out to the most people. You want to have some kind of an influence, and you want to, in all honesty, do well on YouTube. I'd say that you kind of have to put on some kind of a character, but we'll definitely get more into this because one of the topics I think we should discuss is the YouTube space and the Sweet Film Awards and everything that Zach and I have done to this point. But for those of you who are new listeners, for those of you who are listening on iTunes and SoundCloud, thank you for stopping by. It certainly does mean a lot. But Zach, I think the first place we should start with this, because the way we want to do this, like Zach said, it is just chill, just a normal conversation. And we are hoping to have some other guests on this show as well. But Zach, a lot of the people who are listening, they probably want to know how you and I first met when it comes to the YouTube space and how we started doing all of this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I think that's where a lot of this should start is where did this idea come from? Where did me and Cody meet? Well, obviously Cody lives on the opposite end of the country and I live in Arizona. So it's pretty fun, but this all started, on YouTube, of course, this is where it all started, but where me and Cody had started this bonding friendship is with a little movie I think a lot of you guys know, and it's called It. No, not that It, but It, the clown, awesome. Pennywise, the dancing clown. And that's where it all started at.
Yeah, okay, guys, the one thing, up until this point, I'd taken a little bit of notice of Zach, and one thing that he'd taken notice of me, the first video that you commented on, I believe, was my analysis for Baby Driver, and really we hadn't had any interaction up until that point, if I'm remembering correctly. And then It came about, and apparently it struck both of us enough that we wanted to do a collaboration, and we wanted to meet each other. And what you've seen so far is come out of that. The Sweet Film Awards have passed, and we'll get into that. YouTube has been a great adventure so far. We'll get into that. But first of all, I'm sure that there's some stuff that Zach doesn't know about me, and I don't know about him when it comes to film. So I guess sort of just a questionnaire kind of way that you guys can learn some more about us. So Zach, I really got to know what first got you into film? What started your passion towards doing this kind of thing? Because if you guys don't know, Zach's not only a film lover, not only a film reviewer, but he also has dabbled in making some short films. And if you guys haven't seen a little short film he's done, a Deadpool related short film, you really should check it out. But Zach, yeah, when it comes to film, what really kicked you off? What started your passion and your drive?
So that's a big question for me. And I don't know really exactly where it started at. I have always been into film and movies, and just going to the movies and watching my favorite TV shows when I was younger was always my favorite thing to do. I loved going to the movies. It always felt like an experience. Maybe it was because my parents like just watching it and bringing it home. But I always when they took me to the movie theaters, it felt like it was an adventure, an experience. Going into that dark room, sitting down with a bucket of popcorn and some M&Ms. Because let me tell you, one of the best snacks you possibly do, butter the fuck out of your popcorn. Sprinkle some M&Ms in there, and just totally just go at it. I'm not joking. It's like the sweetest, most chocolateyest thing in the whole world. I cannot agree with it. And if you want to get some more butter in your popcorn, get a straw, jam it in that thing, jam it down in the popcorn bin, and just start smashing that button. I'm telling you, it tastes great. You might get some cavities, but it is so good. But it all started back then where I was always in the movie. Growing up, I watched the Toy Story series I've probably seen the whole trilogy a million times, but I watched the first one and the second one so much when I was a kid. I was a Disney kid. I grew up with Disney. But there was one instance where I've always grown up with movies. I've always found it as an experience. Not even my family, but usually the people I went to the movies with was actually my grandma. My grandma would always take me to at least 1 or 2 movies a week. Didn't matter what it would be. I mean, I've talked her into taking me to the town, to Argo before I was 18 and up. And one time I even talked her into making me see Tropic Thunder, which is a pretty cool thing. But the one thing that actually got me into the part where I was like, you know what? Like, I actually do want to make short films. I'm so intrigued with all the hidden meanings, all the symbolism in film, was not a movie. It was actually a TV show, and that's Breaking Bad. When I started finding out all the symbolism behind the coloring of each of the characters and what they would wear, and the symbolism of the meanings behind certain things and things that characters would do throughout the whole show, and how well planned out the whole show was in general, it made me so in love with film that I just couldn't, like, I was so engrossed in the filmmaking. And ever since then, I've always wanted to direct my own films, write my own films. And I mean, I've written tons of films, and a lot of it, I'm more on the indie class side. I like doing a lot of symbolism and hidden meanings and stuff. And even though you might not get the meaning, to me, I get it. And it's always something I've always been a fan of, is storytelling. And that's why I'm more of a fan of when an indie film's coming out. Sometimes I get more hype for that than, say, Deadpool 2 or Avengers, which, yeah, if you know me, I love Deadpool and I love the Avengers, or even Star Wars. But sometimes when I go into an indie film, I don't know what I'm going to expect, but I like going to the symbolism. Say for Annihilation, one of those films this year that I think has a lot of deeper meaning to it. Some people might not think that, but I do think there is some deeper meaning to that. But another film that really, I think, was the next hitting point for me besides Breaking Bad was Enemy, made by Denis Villeneuve. When I watched that film, I had no idea what the fuck that film was about. Then I watched the analyzation video that Chris Stuckman had given. And I mean, Chris Stuckman's a big inspiration for me starting a YouTube channel in general, but his analyzation video actually made me appreciate film 10 times more, seeing how much work had gone into that film and just how creative directors are. And now every time I see a film, I look at everything. Shape of Water especially was probably one of the few films, say it was Three Billboards. Those two films really had a lot of symbolism to them that really hit me at a core. And I mean, Get Out, we can talk about. I mean, all these films that are up for Best Picture this year, a lot of them have symbolism, and it's incredible. But Cody, before you start going about, because I don't even think you've ever heard that from me, I also want you to let us know what got you into filmmaking too.
Okay, well, as far as film is concerned, I don't exactly have a specific point to where I can pinpoint that I was just suddenly so passionate about movies. I've just always loved movies. I remember, and indie films especially, because my mother, when I was very young, I mean, one of the first films, I've talked about this on my YouTube channel and so forth, but Wizard of Oz was probably the earliest memory I have of ever watching movies. Star Wars was the first Christmas film I remember. But also my mom made me watch very classic, very slow burn kind of films. I watched the 6-hour part miniseries of Pride and Prejudice starring Colin Firth, which honestly, that is nostalgic and awesome for me. But when it comes, I've just always loved films, but if there is a film that I can say really cemented my love in overall film, it was probably the Harry Potter series, because when I was younger, I would watch these films about Harry Potter, and I would just fall in love with the story and the character arcs and all this stuff, except I just thought it was a good story. I thought it was very enjoyable. But getting older and getting a little more movie knowledge, I just think to myself that those films, they're actually extremely well made and they're extremely significant. And it's one thing where I can't thank my mother enough for introducing me into film, because she's really the one. She's a movie fanatic like I am. She's a cinephile just like I am. And she's really the one that got me started with this whole process. And as far as symbolism and analyzing movies is concerned, that just came with age. That just came with knowledge when it comes to film, and taking film classes in school, and having a fantastic theater director who taught me how great acting was, which shout out to Mr. O'Leary. You're probably not watching or listening to this, but you do certainly mean a lot. But that's really where it all got started out. I mean, film is such a phenomenal and great thing. And yeah, Zach, you're absolutely right. I'd never actually heard that story from you up until this point. And there's a lot of great memories we could share. Of course, we could dive into our love of horror, but I think we're going to have to save that for a conversation down the road. But one thing you guys should know, when it comes to me, that The film that I will always go back to now as my favorite film, in my opinion, what the film that I am going back to now on a weekly basis to watch is Blade Runner 2049, the film that came out just this past year. Because if there's a film that just cements in my mind what great direction, great use of color, great use of themes, and great acting, and just what a great overall film means, and a film that drives me to want to be a better person when it comes to the film industry, it is that film. And Zach, I don't know if there's a particular film that you have which does that same thing for you, which you probably do, and I think I might know what it is. But Zach, what is that for you?
All right, so easily, like you said, you have Blade Runner. There's actually quite a few films that are like that for me. Like, I mean, I can even say Blade Runner 2049, but I'm not rewatching that constantly. I do agree with you with the colors and the symbolism, and even the whole direction that film is so powerful and strong. There is a couple films, though, that really stick out to me. Of course, the Toy Story series. The emotion they hit in those films are incredible. Up, The Incredibles, I mean, Pixar does it so well with the emotion and the storytelling. But there's a couple films. I'm going to say 4 films, but I'm really only going to talk about 2 of them. One of them is being the wonderful Deadpool. I love Deadpool. I think the style of this comedy of this film, like the comedy in this film, the whole backbone of the film is a romance. And it's
maximum
so powerful. Effort. Maximum effort. Yes, he does so much maximum effort. But I'd be bad to say that, like, I love Deadpool, not just for the story and the comedy and the action, but for that relationship. I love that relationship in there. The next one is Guardians of the Galaxy. Take it or was it you will. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. Love it to death. Love it, love it, love it to death. The fact that you can put 5 new characters in a brand new movie and make me care about each and every one some way or some form is a big, big factor that James Gunn got done. And I mean, James Gunn is a wonderful director. I've loved Slither. I loved Super that he's all made. I think those are incredible films. But I need to mention one more before I say the main 2 I'm going to talk about, which is Star Wars. I have to say Star Wars. I mean, the way it's directed, the way it's made, it's incredible. But there's 2 films in particular that really do stick out to me, and they're 2 of my favorite films of all time. One is being Wolf of Wall Street. I absolutely loved it. Just everything about this, the performances in here, the lengths that Martin Scorsese went to make this film, and how much just energy he puts into this film, and the way it's made, the way that the fact that this film is 3 hours long, but you can watch this film and it doesn't even feel like 3 hours. That is what's insane about that film. The pacing is fantastic in there. But the other one I really want to talk about that, I mean, has really struck with me is actually Nightcrawler, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. And this was the one film that I do constantly find myself rewatching more than others. And I mean, I watch Wolf of Wall Street once a week, but Nightcrawler, if I'm bored, I usually just put it on and I watch it, and I'm just so engrossed. And I think a lot of it goes to Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, because that is one of the main performances that really stick out of my head. The study to analyze how much goes into Lou Bloom's mind and just everything in general. I think Nightcrawler is such a superb film in storytelling and everything. And I mean, I can go into other indie films like Enemy, I've already talked about, Arrival, Prisoners, any of Denis Villeneuve's films you can really get into and be like, wow, this film's incredible. You can even go into them films like The Lobster, Swiss Army Man, any indie film. But Nightcrawler, for some reason, always stuck out to me. And I think it's that main performance and this character study that you get of Lou Bloom and how imaginative, how despicable this guy is. But for some reason, you're still cheering the guy on.
I mean, ever since that performance that he gave in Nightcrawler, I believe there have been, I know several people that, I mean, we've all celebrated Jake Gyllenhaal for the actor he is, and we've cried over the fact, or maybe not cried, but been very disappointed in the Academy, the fact that he hasn't gotten his award yet. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal is just one of those actors like Hugh Jackman, like Andy Serkis, to where whenever he's in a role, he's just so good in it, just 110% all of the time. I mean, we've even talked about that we even put him in our nomination for the Sweet Film Awards, that Jake Gyllenhaal, he should have been nominated for Best Actor at the Academy, but he wasn't, and it's sad. And he definitely got snubbed when it comes to Nightcrawler, because many people, myself included, Zach included, agree that Nightcrawler, the performance is once in a lifetime. It's very much like Hugh Jackman in Logan. It's very much like Andy Serkis as Smeagol or as Caesar. It's an iconic defining role for Jake Gyllenhaal. And the fact of the matter is, Jake Gyllenhaal is still getting work, even though I guess it puts it down to what these actors put themselves through, because at the end of the day, the thing I admire about the really, really great actors is, although there's no doubt that they've got to be somewhat disappointed that they did not win the award. The fact of the matter is, the best actors out there are the ones who take that disappointment, turn it into passion, and move forward with their career and make stories, make characters that we care about, because at the end of the day, that's what film is all about. That's what theater and this kind of stuff is all about, is storytelling, making great characters and a great story that affects you emotionally and powerfully. One of my fondest memories, and this isn't necessarily to do with film, but this is the Sweet Film Podcast, and we want to talk more than just movies, guys. We want to talk about us. We want to talk about lives. And one of my favorite memories was my senior year in high school. We did the play Death of a Salesman, which there was a movie based on this play. A movie based on this play starring Dustin Hoffman and John Malkovich. It was a very, very good rendition, a very good adaptation. But the story of Death of a Salesman is such an emotional piece that at the very, very last show, I just found myself in tears. And it's really, I think at that point, I fully grasped just how emotional and powerful these kinds of stories can be. And that's what, it doesn't matter how harsh, it doesn't matter how funny, it doesn't matter what the story is. If it's well done, it can emotionally affect you to your core. And I mean, that's what we're here for. That's why we're watching movies. That's why we like great movies. It's because of the emotion that they provide.
Oh, yeah, and I hope everyone who listens to this and who comes across this podcast doesn't just think that we're into all the indie and all the superb films. No, me and Cody, we love our big, dumb action films, too. We love our comedies. We love all these things. I mean, we love all these different types of films. I mean, for me, Deadpool, like he said, I mean, I'm a fan of... I mean, I have some my guilty pleasure like things. Don't get me wrong. Me and Cody argue about this. I think Transformers is one of the best comedies in the whole damn world. Not the comedy aspect of like how Michael Bay puts his comedy there. I'm talking about how bad the films are. They're just on a guilty pleasure level for me. Not Age of Extinction though. That movie's just shit. That movie's just shit.
Zach, Transformers: The Last Night was horrible.
No. Listen. The Transformers: The Last Night was absolutely horrendous, but it is so funny. Like the fact that, oh, Mark Wahlberg's abs are showing. Oh my God, I'm going to walk in the room and this fucking robot butler goes and gets a lobster. What? It's so dumb. But I mean, this is my thing, is that I love the Fast and Furious franchise. I just want people to understand that, like, we also love every type of film. I appreciate almost every type of filmmaking, because even if a film's bad, to a certain extent, most filmmakers, I can appreciate their film to a certain extent. I don't like the bashed completely total films. I mean, Cody knows that like The Snowman was a film that me and him can both talk about, which came out last year, and it's probably one of the worst films I've ever seen. And the thing about The Snowman is it has one of the best up-and-coming directors, I'd say. The guy did Tinker Tailor Soldier, which is an incredible film if you haven't seen it. Michael Fassbender's in here, Rebecca Ferguson, and I mean, the cast goes on from there. The thing that's such shit about this film, though, is it's like the studio didn't give a fuck about it. And that's something different that we need to talk about. The Snowman is, I bashed the film in my review. I did. I tried not to, but I did bash it in some senses. But the one thing I said about The Snowman in it is, this is a film that should have been good. And I don't know where it went wrong, but films like 50 Shades of Grey or 50 Shades of Shit, whatever you want to talk about it, or the Transformers franchise, the people who make those it's all cash grabs in that point. They don't care how good the quality of the film is. And maybe now they are, because the qualities are the money they're making. It goes all the way down. And I mean, Transformers, they're rebooting it now. But that's my thing, is that I appreciate every types of filmmaking, even bad films. I own my wall right here, and the wall back there. I own quite a few bad films. Like, looking at my thing, I own all the Men in Black films. I enjoy them all. Are they good? No. The third one especially, hell no. But I enjoy it. Suicide Squad, I have it. Is it a horrible movie? Yeah. Was it a cash grab? Probably. But it's a film you can study and say, where the fuck did this go wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no. When it comes to films like The Snowman, like Suicide Squad, it's one of those things where, you know, once again, you have David Ayer, a guy who made Fury, a guy who made End of Watch. This is a guy who is a phenomenal director, who knows how to write, who knows how to produce great chemistry. But sometimes it's just not the talent. It's not the directors. Sometimes it is on the studio. I mean, look what happened with Jon Favreau and Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is a film that should have come out in 3 years instead of 2, but the studio pushed out because Iron Man was a great moneymaker. It was, along with being a great film, it made a ton of money. It made a ton of cash for the studios. So they made Jon Favreau push out the film itself, and I mean, we have Iron Man 2, the sloppy mess that it is. And I mean, Iron Man 2 is a guilty pleasure for me. I understand that the film's not good, but I do enjoy it because a lot of the aspects in it are great. But, you know, we could go on and on about this. And they're talking about studios and directors and all of this stuff is great. But there seems to be one thing we haven't talked about that we really should talk about, that probably a lot of people are asking, or at least some are asking at this point, and that's the Sweet Film Awards. How did we come about with this? I mean, we had the U reviewers back in the day on the YouTube space years and years ago. I believe it started back in 2010 or 2011. And now we come back, fast forward 7 years later, we have the Sweet Film Awards. Zach, I think although we don't want to give away too many of the secrets of what we did here, we do want to give you guys some insight into this. And we want to, for all of you who want to get on the YouTube space and want to do something, and either by yourself or with a team, maybe this will give you some inspiration to where you can go do it. But Zach, how about you start us off? Tell the people how we started out with this, because it started pretty early on, either in October or November, that we started talking about this.
Well, I had this little idea, and I came to Cody, and I was like, hey, we want to do some collaborations. Why don't we make something in the vein of a YouTube reviewers? Because that was one of my favorite things on YouTube back in the day. And a lot of it had the discussion of knowing that the Oscars and Golden Globes were coming up. And every year films are snubbed. Every year actors are snubbed. Every year people are snubbed. I mean, I was surprised Logan got a nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay. But, I mean, a big film a lot of people were talking about that was going to get snubbed this year is Blade Runner, Logan, Wonder Woman. All films that were going to get snubbed this year. And look at it. They did. I think Wonder Woman may have gotten one nomination. I don't even think it actually got any. Logan, I know, got one. Blade Runner got all the technical ones, which I think everyone expected, but it didn't get, I think, the one category it did deserve to get into, which was Best Picture. I think that 10th spot, or even the 9th spot, I would have taken out Darkest Hour or Phantom Thread and threw it in there. And I think it at least deserved the nomination. Directing-wise, directing was a very strong category this year. Same with acting and stuff. So I don't know if I would have taken any of those actors out. And I mean, anyone can make a reference. Hey, like I would take Jordan Peele out and throw Denis Villeneuve in there. But I still think, I think it was a tough year, but I think Best Picture deserves. So we all had these thoughts, and I told him, like, why don't we make our own award show? Cody agreed, and we started planning it out from there. And a lot of it came to good ideas, where I think the hardest part was honestly choosing the name of the award show. So we went through a ton of different names, but it was really a fun thing to do in general. I really enjoyed making the award shows in general. I think it was a nice touch, and it was a really fun time to do. And I overall just had such a blast making the award show. But a lot of it, I think the whole process, the hardest part was picking who we were going to have in there. Because I'm not joking. There was a ton of YouTubers we wanted to put in there. And there's a ton of YouTubers that I've met after we've already decided who was in it months later. Because we started this in, October? And we had already pretty much picked everyone out by October. But there's YouTubers that we've gotten closer to now that I'm like, damn, the next year if we do this again, they're definitely getting in it, and we're bringing more categories, because I love all the YouTubers that actually helped vote. I love all the YouTubers that helped make videos and help us into it and helped advertise the Sweet Film Awards. It really means a lot, because all these YouTubers, I always praise this, is that we are the next up-and-coming generation of YouTube. There's Chris Stupping, there's Jeremy Johnson, there's a Flick Pick sometimes, and there's Collider Video, there's Schmoes No, but a couple years from now, who knows if they're still going to be doing this? A couple years from now, who knows where they'll be? But I know where I'll be, and that'll be on YouTube still. I don't care if I'm married, have kids and stuff. I'm going to let my wife know in my vows, I will still be doing YouTube, lady. And to my kids, I will still be going to my movies to see them, and you'll be coming with me. Unless it's an R-rated film, I'm going by myself. I'm not bringing any kid to a damn horror film. I've experienced that. If you haven't seen my rant on my channel, I've ranted much about that. But that's the thing, is that this all started with an idea, and that's where most ideas start at. And it's finally came into fruition. And I mean, it looks great. Cody did a great job on editing the whole thing. I mean, it just totally think Cody is a creative genius when it comes to editing and like doing like the graphics and stuff. Like, he is a graphic master in this whole generation. I really like that.
Well, I wouldn't consider myself a master. It was a labor of love, and one thing, Zach's not kidding when it comes to naming the show, guys. Okay, first we thought we were gonna call it the YouTube Movie Awards, but then that didn't pan out, and then I think we spent another week trying to come up with the name of the show, and we spent a little while figuring things out, what we wanted for categories and who we wanted in the show. And of course, there is the biggest person that we got to give a big thank you to, and we just kind of weren't expecting to come on board, and that was Brianne Chandler, aka Miss Movies. And once again, plug for her channel, although she more than likely does not need it. If you guys haven't seen Miss Movies and what she's doing with film therapy and everything else on her channel, you really should go check it out, because through some of the toughest times in my life, I know film therapy has helped me out quite a bit. And she was willing to come on board and help us out with the show and give us just a small clip to introduce the show, to get us started. And it just certainly means a lot. And it shows just the fascinating thing about the YouTube reviewing, or not just the YouTube movie reviewing community, but the YouTube community in general. Because although we can have certain things come up that irritate us when it comes to how YouTube changes things and how some of the community members act, the fact of the matter is we all come in at the end of the day because it's like one big family. It's one big community where we want to come together and create something that is brilliant, that is going to have an impact on people, and that's going to leave a legacy. And the Sweet Film Awards is really what Zach and I wanted to start out with, because our thing on here is we want to leave a legacy for the people who are going to be coming in down the road. And although YouTube may not be around for the next 50 to 100 years, although it may eventually go away, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to leave something behind so that next generation, or the next 3 generations, will get something from it, and they can be that next series of people, kids, adults, what have you, who can make a difference in the world. And film is definitely that thing that, in my opinion, it is the thing that consistently has made changes in the world. And I mean, the Sweet Film Awards, we came together, it's officially wrapped up, and I could give myself credit for the editing. That took a lot of time and a lot of effort, but I also got to thank Zach, because for the most part throughout all of this stuff, when it comes to taking care of the social media aspects of the show, announcing and pretty much plugging everything that we've got going on down the road, he's a master at all of that. And it's one of those things where working as a team, it's one of those reasons why Zach and I we're always telling each other that we're happy that we met each other. And the reason is I know for me personally, if I didn't meet Zach, I don't think I would have be doing any of the stuff that we've done together at all.
Yeah, no, I agree, Cody, on that aspect. I mean, no, like it's a good friendship that formed on here. I mean, YouTube, I have met some of my closest friends now on here. I mean, you, Ryan O'Toole, Adam, Griffin, John from the Real Talk. I mean, the list goes on. I've met incredible people on YouTube, and to say the least, like I talk to everyone like at least a couple times a day, and it's great. Like, it's great having all this. Like, I have friends from freaking Portugal. How do you meet someone from Portugal unless it's YouTube or Tinder? Well, Tinder's Arizona, but that's my thing, is that YouTube is such a great gift. And really, like I like Cody says, we work good on a team. He's good at the editing. I'm good at the social media aspect. I'm good at getting this out and announcing it, because I'm excited to announce this stuff. And I think the one thing that I think is that this whole YouTube thing is great. And I hope that this inspires you guys, if you don't have a YouTube channel, to make your own. Might as well. Screw what anyone says. If you haven't watched my video, I said this one thing, and it says, screw the fuckball. Screw the little dicks who comment on your video and were like, you're a fucking screwball. Well, fuck you too, bitch, because you don't have a balls to do it. Because those people, you go watch their videos, Oh, wait. You know what's funny? When you go to their channel, they don't have any fucking videos. They don't even have a fucking subscriber because they're a fucking loser. We're the winners here. We ain't fucking losers. We are the next generation, like Cody was saying. No matter what, whatever comes next, YouTube, Pornhub, freaking Google Hangout videos, Twitter comes out with some video uploading thing. Facebook already has it. Instagram sometimes has it. Snapchat's like my favorite thing to lip sync in the car and dance around. But that's my thing, is that it doesn't matter. Film will always stay present. And film in general, going to the movies, like I said, as a kid, is it an adventure? And for my kids, when I have kids, once a week they will be going to the movies. Doesn't matter what's coming out. I don't care if we're taking them to see, dear God, like something like the Emoji Movie. But as long as I'm taking them to see, well, not the Emoji Movie, that's a bad thing. That makes your kids stupid. But taking them to see a movie is an adventure. And that's what I want to increase, is that film is important to society because some films can change people's perspectives. Given Paddington 2 makes me see the better and tries to make me look into the good parts of even bad human beings. A fucking movie about a talking bear who likes marmalade made me do this. What film made that do you? I said that wrong. What,
yes, you did.
What film has made you do that? Everyone has that one film, and that's incredible. That is incredible. I know a lot of people are going to give me shit for what I just said, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, you're perfectly fine, Zach. And I mean, come on. The fact of the matter is, if that's not passion, I don't know what is. I mean, the film is a really wonderful thing, and the film that really impressed that onto me, honestly, was this last year. If there's one film that I think has really changed the dynamics of how people view things in society, there were a couple that came out in 2017. One was Get Out, because it does have an incredible social message about, I mean, everybody knows about blatant racism. We all know about the horrible things that have happened this past year with white supremacy and extreme racism. But what Get Out did was make everybody aware of maybe the not so out loud racist things that people can say. It makes passive racism is out there, and it's just as bad as maybe not just as bad, but it is still horrific. And that's what Jordan Peele played at. And it was great. And the fact of the matter is, he didn't dehumanize white people. He pretty much made us all equal in some kind of a sense, just saying that we all want to be treated equally. We all want to be treated like humans. And then there's Wonder Woman. What film from last year honestly put a perspective in everybody's mind of just how brilliant women filmmakers can be? Women in the film industry. Guys, women in the film industry, equality when it comes to women's rights and how women are treated when it comes to film over the past 100 years, it hasn't exactly, I'm not going to say fair, it hasn't been just. I mean, women haven't been given equal pay. Women have been treated kind of like subordinates in some cases. And then Patty Jenkins comes out with this truly beautiful, truly great game-changing movie known as Wonder Woman, and she's moving on to Wonder Woman 2. And of course, we've had the Me Too movement that it's come out, and we've had so much stuff that go on in this past year that it's just so phenomenal to see what film can do for everybody, for men, women, children alike. And that's one of the biggest reasons why we're here on YouTube to begin with. Now, we said and here's the segue, because we've talked about the Sweet Film Awards, we've talked about movies, we've talked about our opinions on them, but one of the other things we should talk about is YouTube in general. Now, I don't think it would be right for us to go on criticizing YouTube right off the bat, although we don't agree with some of the changes that they've made. But YouTube as a platform, I think we should start out with some of the things that we like about it. For one thing, Zach has said this in a couple of his videos and many times to me, is the fact that YouTube is such a great blessing, because it's one of those things where we live in a digital era. We moved away from the electronic and the print eras, and now we're in a digital era where you can communicate with anybody, anywhere, anytime, and entertain anybody, anywhere. It doesn't matter if you get 100 people who watch your video, or it doesn't matter if you get 5 people to watch your video. If you get one person who's not feeling happy, and then your video changes their whole perspective and makes their day, we have that opportunity now. so much great opportunity to connect and to make people feel better on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, and I can go from there as well. I mean, YouTube, great place. You meet great people. You meet great other people who are just as passionate as you might be about something. And you know what else is also good about YouTube? It honestly builds up your confidence. Builds up a really nice confidence wall. And that's something I've really got. I mean, I'm going to be reacting to some of my first videos I've ever made. And I'm not confident in those at all. I'm very like, oh, yeah, so I'm going to be reviewing the Emoji Movie today, and it's pretty cool. Now I show my personality. I show myself. Like, it's not even my character. Like, this is who I fucking am. Like, I am, like, John the Real Talk calls me this. He says I'm not Deadpool. He says I'm Savage Pool, because I'm a freaking asshole sometimes when it comes to saying I don't care what people think. I've come to that conclusion is I don't care what a single person thinks. I like making fun of them. I like making fun of things. Like, if you're going to make fun of me, cool. Like, someone commented on one of my videos and said, you said this wrong. Okay, I know, but like, you go make a video. Sometimes I say stuff wrong that I don't mean. And I'm saying stuff wrong in this podcast. I've already messed up like 4 or 5 times, and there's no jump cuts or editing in here. I mean, we could edit it, but that's not the fun part of this. It's cool to see the mistakes. I love YouTube. It has such great qualities to it. Yeah, the monetization's stupid, but I'm not here to make money. I mean, if I made some money, that'd be pretty freaking cool. Not gonna lie. If I could do this all day, I would freaking do it. But that's where Patreon comes in. That's where other things come in. No, I do YouTube because it's a fun hobby. It's a fun type of thing to do on my side now. And I mean, I even help. I'm also a part of a website, Sandwhich Jon Films, giving a little plug in for John's website. I love being a part of this website. It has opened up new doors, and I've met so many other great older reviewers who have given me tips at these press screenings that I go to, and it's great. I love this website. It's really built a bond to it, and it's cool being a part of something else. I'm a part of the Sweet Film Podcast right here. I'm part of YouTube, my own channel. I'm a part of this website. I'm a part of something moving forward in the film community, and that is what's great. I don't care about the monetization. I don't care about any of that, because to be honest, I'd rather cuss and stuff. But the thing what I like about YouTube is it opens up doors. One of the biggest things that I do shoot with is if you guys don't know, I actually use my iPhone for like majority of my videos. I make everything off my iPhone. And the reason I'm trying to do this is because almost all the short films I made have also been off my iPhone. Why is that? Because I have this mentality to my brain. iPhones are the way. If you have a vision, if you have a creativity, but you don't have the money, but you have a phone, right? A brand new phone that has just as good as a camera as a Nikon, somewhat. Just shoot it. Just make it. There's free editing softwares. Make it. Some editing softwares are like $3. Get it. It is all that simple. And yeah, sometimes, yeah, I mean, getting a better camera might add to the effect. But to start somewhere, you start there. Look at Steven Soderbergh. The guy his next film is made with an iPhone. Look at the director who did Florida Project. His first film was made with an iPhone 5. And editing softwares on a phone. What? And if you're not a big movie fanatic, you might not understand and might not be able to tell the difference. Because like me watching, I can watch my videos and go watch someone else's. I can tell, okay, that's shot with a camera, that's shot with an iPhone. Some people might not be able to. Depends on the lighting, and there's great qualities to that. Start somewhere, start there. Don't just push it off. Start there and start doing yourself.
That's a really great point. The fact of the matter is, guys, Zach has an excellent point. The only way you're going to change the world, the only way you're going to make your message out there is if you do it, is if you go and do it. And it might not be what you want it to. It might not be perfect, but that's the point, to get better, to improve. James Gunn tweeted this a little while ago, and I think you actually retweeted it, and you're the first person I saw retweet it. James Gunn said that there's no such thing as writer's block, just going right, or something to that effect. And that's pretty much with anything in life. I mean, if you want to write a book, just write. If you want to get better with health and fitness, it doesn't need to be perfect. Just start. I mean, if you want to film videos on YouTube, just start doing it. Because if you want your message to get out there, the opportunity is right in front of you. You have more opportunities ahead of you than you ever have before. And this is where I'm going to shamelessly plug the Stardust app. And there's a particular reason. There's a reason why I love this app. If you're someone, let's say you want to make YouTube videos, but you don't feel confident enough, but you love movies and TV shows, then this is a place where you can start getting your message out there. This is a place where you can start showing people your love for film, showing your message, showing what all of this means to you. It's free on Android and iOS devices. You just go on there, you select a movie or TV show, you react to it, you tell people how passionate you are in a 30-second time frame, and you can begin. But the only way that you can get your message is to start. Because if there's one thing I don't want to have when I get older, it's regrets. And what happens when you start regretting something? You think back on the past and you say, I probably should have done that. Don't have regrets, guys. Just go out there and do it. The messages are the most powerful things out there, and we need more passionate people out there.
I can't agree more with you, Cody. I mean, it's great. I mean, there's so many tips we can give, and I think just as we do this podcast, you guys are going to learn a lot from us. As you watch our channels on our YouTube channels, which you have, and if you're listening to this on iTunes or SoundCloud, make sure to check out both our channels, Cody Curtis and Zach Pope. Find us both. Just type in separate names, and it should pop up. Cody Curtis is the only one on YouTube, and Zach Pope, there's one other Zach Pope, but his videos suck because he doesn't do movie reviews. I talk about movies. But that's what I really like is just YouTube in general. And I think this is where we're going to get to a stopping point for this first podcast. You guys are learning more about us as we do this podcast. You guys are going to learn a ton more about us. And this is going to be fun. We're going to bring in guests. We're going to talk more movies. And we hope you guys do really learn something. So, Cody, do you have anything else to bring up before we get going?
I do have to say, Zach's absolutely right. Guys, we'll have another episode of this podcast up eventually. It might be a week. It might be within the next 2 weeks. But you'll have another episode. And like Zach said, we're planning to get guests on here. The first couple of episodes, we think it's just going to be between me and Zach, but we will eventually have guests on here. We got a bunch of people we want to get on this show, and it's going to be fantastic. It's just a way to get the community together for you to learn more about us and more about the guests that we have on here and how they got started. And learning from more experienced people is just always great, and learning new perspectives is always fantastic. I couldn't have a better person to do this podcast with. And with all the projects that we've got going forward, this has just been an absolute blast. And I can't wait to see where life takes us next. And of course, this is the Sweet Film Podcast. And guys, we hope you enjoy what you've heard. Thank you for showing up. And for those of you on iTunes and SoundCloud, once again, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, guys, of course, just everything Cody said, I can reiterate the same stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, to the Sweet Film channel, to Cody's channel. Hit us all up. That's what's important. Make sure to check out all of our social media links as well. I'm at the Pope of the King. And Cody, where are you at?
I am at _Cody_Curtis.
And you guys can hit us up there where we talk more films, of course, on Twitter. We love talking film. We love meeting new people, and that's what's important. You guys can find our other social media links kind of through Twitter and kind of for other videos. But of course, if you're also listening on SoundCloud or iTunes, make sure to hit that follow button. You guys don't want to miss our podcast. I think we're planning on trying to do this every 2 weeks for right now, but we have tons of stuff coming down the pipeline, and we cannot wait for you guys to see what's coming up next. You guys are all the best. You guys all stay classy. And Cody, where should they join the fray of movie nerds?
Oh, that's right. Guys, if you've enjoyed what you've seen here and you want to hear and see more, click right there and either subscribe to iTunes and SoundCloud or subscribe to Zach Pope and myself and become part of the fray of nerds who love cinema.
You all have a fantastic day.